Welcome to Love Uncensored. My name is Terrin Ammar.
And I'm Terrin Ammar.
And today's episode is called Men Who Can't Handle Feminine Emotions Won't Get Feminine Devotion. And we are going to dive into getting the most intimacy and devotion and love between the man and the woman, whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship.
Yeah, this is a big one. Men have kind of a hard time with this one sometimes.
It's true. I'm going to read this. Men, listen closely. If you shut down, lash out, or disappear when she cries, screams, or spirals, you'll never have her full devotion. You might have her compliance, but you'll never have her trust, her full heart, or her body fully open to you. And so if you think about the feminine, and you think about even biologically how a man and a woman work, right? The feminine usually opens or closes, and the masculine gives or withdraws. That's when you think about how life is created, right? Let's just talk about how intimacy and life is created, right? So the feminine, if she feels comfortable and safe, usually she'll open up, right? And when you think of a feminine opening up and a man giving, that's how life is born. That's how my parents made me, right? Before they told me that it was made a different way. But what happens is the feminine has to feel safe enough and free enough to be open to you. And the feminine is emotion. The body of the feminine is emotion. And Terrin's gonna dive into that. But a lot of times, men, we don't know how to stay present or strong or loving when they're in their feminine energy and they're feeling a lot of emotion. And where you cannot be present, she won't feel safe enough to be that. So the polarity dynamics are just gonna flip. But let's just start necessarily with the feminine emotional body. And from the feminine perspective, why this topic is massively important.
Well, the first thing that came to mind actually is usually the men that I have seen that have a hard time with this are the men who actually have not integrated their own feminine within themselves. Because remember, we all have both masculine and feminine. It's not just men and women. We all have masculine and feminine dynamics and an inner polarization within ourselves. And these men who have not integrated their own feminine, they were taught to suppress emotion when they're younger. And honestly, to be fair, what is the messaging that men have received a lot growing up is, well,
suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up.
Rub
We
some dirt
don't
on
cry
it.
in baseball, or I think that's a phrase. I don't know, something. But basically, men are not, if tears are seen as weakness, or a lot of men have this belief where, so that means that then emotion and tears feel like a threat to them of like, oh no, something's wrong. Where really, what's actually really cool is, to me, tears are now an invitation to a masculine man. Like, you actually love it when I cry. I never used to cry, by the way. But tears are an invitation for the masculine to step into a space to show up for the feminine in a way that she desires so deeply. And I said this in another episode, but women have such a fear of being too much for men, too emotional, too, loud, too playful, too whatever, too spontaneous, too much in their too muchness, right? Where in reality, the feminine embodies and loves her too muchness, her fullest expression.
When we first met, Terrin would cry and she would put her hair over her face and
It was
look
really
away.
good. It was a
And
very
she'd
good
look
tactic.
away and I'd be like, are you crying? Why are you hiding when you're crying?
I have
It's
very
like,
good hair for it too.
no, I want you to be all of you.
Yeah.
I want you to be all of you, and I wanted you to know that I could handle all of you, and that you're safe being all of you. If you can't be safe being all of you with your partner, then where would you feel safe being all of you in the world, right? And I'm going to give you two opposite ends of examples of men that we know that are in relationships and people that we've worked with in our past of opposite sides of the spectrum of not being able to handle emotions. One of them, very passive, very much like she gets mad, she gets upset, she wants to control, she wants to manage, and we did a whole episode on that. But she wants to manage and control, so what he would do, he would just give in, people please. He'll try to push back every once in a while, or he'll bottle it in and then blow up at her. And now she's like, see, now you're attacking me. So passive communication and aggressive communication is both fear, right? So we have to understand fear-based relationships is either you stay in them and you're uncomfortable, or they get destroyed and you get driven apart. You cannot have polarity in a fear-based relationship. You cannot have true intimacy or true connection or true love in a fear-based relationship because you're in survival mode. It's hard to love when you're in survival mode. For the masculine, sometimes they'll go passive and just, I can't handle your emotions, so I'm gonna let you be everything you're being, and I'm just gonna say yes to everything rather than holding it down and holding space enough to be proactive versus reactive, right? Or the other side, there's someone that we know that does not like to feel emotion as a man. He has been taught by his father as a kid, suck it up, move forward, just keep going, do what you gotta do, just move on. And all of a sudden, Next thing you know, this person doesn't like to feel emotions. So when his partner feels emotion, what does he do? No, let me just fix it. Let me just fix it without even letting you express who you are. And you turn into fix it mode, but you think that she's a hairless man, as Alison Armstrong would say. When in reality, yes, my mind might be more logical, or maybe I'm really emotional. I'm scared of my emotions. I was taught that. But we have to understand that the feminine is emotion. Yeah. And so sometimes you go to the extremity of flight, passive avoidance, or fight, aggressive. I have to show you that I'm the man. But if you cannot hold her emotion with presence, with groundedness, with love, even if she's in her, we'll call it the feminine storm, then she won't feel safe enough to open up to you because you can't even hold her down. How does she know you're going to fight the lion if she's stronger than the lion, right? And so you have to think about it from a primal state. And I'll give you one example with Terrin and me, and I hope it's okay that I share this. We're usually really open
we'll
about
find
it.
out.
But men, sometimes before a certain time period in a woman's life, there's certain emotions that get a little bit more enhanced. And
you mean time period in life or time period in the
every month? Every month.
There you go.
And so I remember, we know that the feminine sometimes test. Men don't like it. They're like, why do you have to say feminine test? You just let them be who they are. No, it's they want to know, are you still going to protect me? Are you still going to be there for me? Are you still my person? Right? Think about it from a primal state. Like, are you still getting me from the line? Am I still chosen? Are you choosing me? Right? Can you be present in my storm? Right? Because everybody has it and they just want to be able to feel authentic and be who they are. And it doesn't give them permission to just vomit all over you and pretend like nothing happens. But at the same time, of course, they have a responsibility. But at the same time, if they're afraid, then my job is the masculine presence in a relationship is be grounded, present with love and power under control. And one time, Terrin was having a really, really, really rough week. It was like one of the roughest weeks. And I knew that. And I knew that it was also something was coming up in that month. And I knew there was a stacking. And Terrin helps me win. She's like, just so you know, all these things are happening. So if I'm a little bit off, this is why. She literally messages me that all the time. And I love that because it helps me be more present and aware. Because sometimes if it comes out of nowhere, my initial reaction is like, hiya, and then I come back home. But I remember we were going to the gym and I get in the car and she made some very controlling statement to me. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, she's having a really hard week. She probably feels like this. She just needs me to be loving to her and present to her. So I looked at her and I smiled at her and I said, I love you, right? And it was funny because she looked at me like, oh. And it was awesome. And it was like, I said, I left my water bottle in the house. Let me go grab it and I'll run back out. So I ran back inside, got the water bottle and it came out. And you could just tell it was a pattern interrupt for her where it was like, I knew, she was just going through a hard time. And I was able to hold the container of it and just remind her I loved her and break the pattern of it. So to her, she knew that even in her chaos, she was able to be handled so she could be all of her she was. And that helped her actually walk back home.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Of course I remember that. I mean, I hate to say there's been numerous examples of that probably for us.
Both
but
ways,
it's good. But I will say this, is that there's nothing more attractive or sexy with a masculine man than a man that can hold a container for a woman to feel what she needs to feel. For a woman to feel so feminine and all of herself, they just want to be held sometimes. Just knowing that he is not going anywhere, that he's not going to run away. That was what was so special, I think, with you, that I realized, oh my gosh, I can be all of me. I can cry. If anything, men, you need to take her crying in your presence as a compliment because she feels so safe that she's able to break down those walls, that she's able to actually share the most vulnerable parts of herself with you. It's really beautiful. And so I was able to do that with you, which I was like, oh my gosh, this is new and different. And I haven't really ever been able to show myself in this way, but you loved me through it. And you held the container and for me in that, what I would call the emotional chaos.
That's what we do for each other, right? If you're in a true partnership, you want to see each other win. I want to see my wife feeling safe and happy. And the reframe for me always is every form of communication is a cry for help or an act of love. So if she's angry, if she's crying, if she's something, she is kind of crying out for help. Her body doesn't feel safe in the world. She's struggling. She's having a hard time. Her body's having a hard time. So when I love her, it's not you should be doing this. I'm not going to should on her when she's trying to do these things. I said should.
You should.
But the thing is, I get to show up up and help the person that I proclaim my love for and hold that presence for her and hold her in all of her emotion and let her know I'm still here. I got you. I got you. And that's going to help her feel safe enough to come back home. But if all of a sudden she's in chaos and all of a sudden I can't handle her emotion, guess what? You're going to lose trust in her. So what's the hidden cost of all of this? You lose her trust, right? The feminine won't surrender to a man that she doesn't feel safe with. She won't be open to it, right? And so attraction dies. She doesn't respect you as much. And what is the one thing we want? We want respect. And so the reality is for us, that polarization evaporates. In the long term, you become roommates and not lovers, right? You become friends because there's a lack of polarity, openness, and reception on her end. So she wouldn't want to receive from somebody she perceives as a lion himself or someone that can't handle it. And then for the women, what she starts to do is start mothering, performing, controlling. As we talked about earlier, she never really softens. She overfunctions. She starts resenting him.
And that's usually when men start to say, well, she's too masculine and she's just guarded. When in reality, she just doesn't feel safe enough to actually open herself to that. Mm-hmm. And we see all the time where men are just like, well, she this and she that and blame this. And are you actually creating the container for her?
Yeah. You can't get the feminine depth if you don't like the feminine emotion. Don't go to the ocean if you're not willing to know that there's going to be some waves. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is.
And also remember that the feminine pathway to heal is to feel.
Right.
Like the feminine feeling is emotion, is expression, and it's so healthy. Like women and men need to be able to express.
Right. 100%
you have
both.
to move this energy through your body in whatever form that is in. Tears for women, even
for men.
Healthy rage too. There is a form of healthy rage of just letting it out, punching bag, whatever. It's making sure that it's done in a healthy way though. But that is a healthy form of expression for the feminine.
And this is how Terrin and I, one of the best tools Alison Armstrong said, she calls it holding a trash can, right? Where if Terrin looks at me and says, hey, I need you to hold the trash can, I turn off fixer mode, which I let her express everything she's doing. In my mind, 15-minute, 20-minute timer in my head, let her express everything. And at the end, I'm like, did you want my input or are you good? Mm-hmm. Like, did you just need to let it out? A lot of times, like, sure, what's your input? Or sometimes, like, no, I just had to let it out. Sometimes she'll be saying all these things and she'll realize, she'll see me trying to get in my fixer mode. She's like, babe, this is a trash can moment. I'm like, new thought in my mind.
He's
right?
Like twitching, like,
yeah, like, I want to fix this.
Because he already has like 50 solutions.
Yeah, because we do. Like, in the masculine, we always want to fix. That's our thing. Go to A to Z. How do we get there? How do we fix? How do we solve? That's how we're built, but that's not how they're built. And I want to make a disclaimer here. Everybody has masculine and feminine inside of them. We're not a couple saying, oh, men are only masculine, women are only feminine. Everybody has both. The goal is to integrate them. It's not just to be one or the other, to know how much masculine, how much feminine. When Terrin's working, be in your masculine. When she needs to go solve something or do something, do it. What I think makes us really good at what we do is we can walk in a room and completely take charge and ownership of it. And like with masculine energy, holding containers, but we also have so much compassion and feeling and energy around the people we work with so we can understand where they're coming from. And so there's a beautiful integration. And so we're not here to fix the women right away. We're here to let them express and be the container. So Terrin has a metaphor that she uses about the glass and the water.
Oh, yeah. So one of my favorite metaphors of the masculine feminine dynamic is a glass of water. Just imagine the glass, if you can see this. But the glass itself represents the masculine, which is the structure. It's the certainty. It's the container. And what does it do? It holds the water, which is the feminine. And the feminine is very beautiful and free-flowing and smooth and graceful. And it can also be chaotic. Like if you were to shake that glass, it's almost spilling over the edges. But it's still held in the safety of the container. It's still held in the safety of the glass. And that is the masculine feminine dynamic. If there was no container, what would happen to the water? It just spills everywhere and then it evaporates. There's nothing to contain and hold it. Right. And so that's why I say there's nothing more attractive than a man in his healthy masculine that can actually hold the container for a woman. Like it's seriously, it's so attractive. It's so hot because most women, again, feel like, am I going to be too much? Can he hold all of me? And is he going to stay with me being all of me?
Yeah. And if she's on the other side, if she is being overly aggressive, overly controlling, and she is being quote unquote too much, that's because a part of her is just scared.
There's a difference too. It's not like giving permission to trauma dump on someone. It's not like she can, when we talk about feminine chaos, the feminine is chaotic. Yes. The chaos of her emotions and whatnot, but that doesn't mean that she can cut herself and bleed all over everybody else, right? Just knowing that the feminine is multi-dimensional. She's multifaceted. She is not one thing. The feminine, there's this misconception of the feminine is just soft in being, I will tell you this, the feminine is not just happy-go-lucky all the time. Like, it is that feeling and the emotion within all of us. It is the expression within all of us. So when you understand that and know that it is a range and dynamic, like the keys on the piano,
Right.
which is both masculine and feminine, whatever the melody of the song calls for at any given moment, that's the note that you play. Right. And when you can witness that and be a witness to her, to contain that and just almost be the, like, it's kind of like, this may not be the best analogy, but it's kind of like the little toddler throwing a tantrum and you're just watching and loving and smiling, and you're not going anywhere, right? It's just, you get down to their level and you meet them where they're at. And
you love them. And when you
love them where they're at.
The devotion that you get, the loyalty you get when they know you're the safest being in the whole world, you're the safest container, you're the most loving container, you're the one that sees them and loves them, they're going to want to be next to you and open up to you and be everything for you. I have to say this because this is so important. The masculine, we want freedom, right? I'm going to be really blunt, and you have to hear this out. One of the biggest things that the masculine wants is freedom. And if you're reactive and if you can't handle feminine emotion, you are a puppet to the world. You cannot hold yourself grounded in presence and in power and in love because you are too busy reacting to everything outside of you. That means you're not free. That means you're a puppet to something outside of you. When in reality, you could use all of this. Everything is information. We could use everything in our life to step into the freedom, into the leadership, because that's who we want to be, right? Because what happens when you step into masculine energy and you step into being a safe container and presence and love and actually working through your stuff, even if you're like, man, really, I have resistance to stepping up or whatever, do the work. Right? Everybody has fear. I've done this work for 28 plus years, like heavy work. And asked Terrin, like a few months ago, I had a massive breakthrough and I was like, you know what? I'm realizing in our relationship where I haven't really been stepping up. And I'm so sorry. I literally said, I'm so sorry. I'm going to do better. This isn't about like, oh, I'm in a bad place. And it's like, love yourself where you are, but love yourself enough not to stay there. There is a sense of, you know who you are when you're free. You know if you're not free. The number one thing for the masculine, in my opinion, is freedom. I was at a Tony Robbins event. It was crazy. It was Date with Destiny. And there's one thing he's like, and if you're going to go to the event, you'll see this. But at the end, he's like, you know, watch this. I'm going to say one word, and he yells, freedom. And all the men just start screaming. And literally, women were like, it was crazy. But there is a sense of something inside of us. And I don't know if you value freedom as much as I do, but there's something inside of me that does not want to be a puppet to anything outside of me. And if you are reactive to other people's emotions and you can't hold a container, that's not leadership. And masculine energy is leadership, right? And I'm not scared of Terrin's masculinity. She's very feminine. Her core is feminine, but she can lead in her masculine. I know we say this story. Terrin still led in her feminine, but I remember we were at this, she had a big presentation, and Terrin has been, she's had like hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. She would go to boardrooms of billion-dollar companies with executives, and there was such an integration between the masculine and feminine. But I remember one time, there were like some really like strong-willed leaders that she was going to meet with. And I was in the car and I was just, I was like just working on my laptop. I was hotspotting it, and she was going out there, and I'm not going to say the word I use. I don't normally say colorful words, but I will use another word for it. But I remember when she was walking out, and I was like, she's got to go in and handle it. She's got to go in with certainty, and she's got to create the certainty within herself. She's got to integrate the masculine and the feminine within herself. And I looked at her, and I knew she was like in her mode. She was in, and I looked at her and I said, babe. And she turns around, looks at me, she goes, yeah. And I said, I hope you have the biggest D in the room. I said the other word instead of D. And she starts laughing. But I was like, go get him. Like, I'm not threatened by the fact that she can go in and own that room, right? Because there's a sense of security within masculinity that you're like, no, I could contain you when you're in your masculine and when you're in your feminine. Just like for me, when I'm emotional, I'm having a hard time, or like I'm having an episode, or like I miss my mother because my mother died of cancer, and Terrin just knows it's like that time. Terrin will just go in and be like, take your armor off, I got you. Like, I don't need you to go fight the lion right now. Just like be for a moment. When we could understand each other that much and build security in yourself that much and do the work that much to know that you're so for each other, and I'm gonna go back to the men, when they know you're the safest, most loving, most trusting place in the world, they'll be the most loyal to you, right? And in our first date, and if you've heard this story, just listen to it from this context. We had been FaceTiming for a long time because we're in different states, right? But we got down, and Terrin's like, I'm just gonna tell you my whole life. You wanna tell the story?
You can tell it.
And Terrin's sitting there, and she's crying and sobbing, and she said snot was running down. I don't remember that. She's like, I was just crying.
It's so not cute.
She's like, this is who I am, and I have 2 kids, and I was in this abusive relationship, and starts describing all the stuff that had happened to her. What I knew and what I'd studied for a long time, and I was so present with her. I normally wouldn't say this on a date this early, to be honest, but I was listening. I was in tune, and I was like, I just felt like I needed to say to her, as long as you're with me, you have nothing to worry about. I got you. And I remember when I said that, she was like so tense and she went, and it was a moment where you felt like, I mean, you could say it from your perspective.
Yeah, no, I physically just fell into him, or fell into you, because I had never experienced that. Because after everything I had shared with him, he didn't care about any of that, honestly. He cared about me in that moment and creating safety for me in that moment. And that is the root of true feminine devotion, is feeling safety. Emotionally, I would say specifically.
Yeah.
That emotional safety is what creates true feminine devotion, to where I know I'm safe with you.
Yeah.
I'm safe to express myself and you're not going anywhere. The 3 most powerful words, it's not a challenge, but I'm just going to ask you men to experiment with it. Just try and say to, whether you're dating, marriage, whatever, partner, just say, hey, I got you. And watch what happens to her body. Watch her, either she's going to be surprised of like, I haven't heard this before, or you're going to see her go,
Yeah, and it's not just words, I got you, because you could be like, I got you.
she has to feel it.
And they're like this, but like literally, get them because you care.
Yeah.
Like the person that's choosing to express themselves to you is sitting in front of you. Like love them, love the hell out of them, literally, right? And so what happens when you hold space for her? What happens when I did that for her? She learned to trust. It says the feminine fully opens devotion, radiance, admiration, intimacy, oneness. There's an openness and even a reception. And for the feminine, you know, when she opens up in all the devotion, and masculine, you step into confidence, into purpose, into leadership, into grounded, magnetic, loving leadership. And then now you have a relationship where you get to be able to converse and understand each other in such a beautiful way. And if you need some space, get some space. But what you want to do is you want to regulate. As Dr. Bruce Perry would say, regulate, which means take your dysregulation and bring it back home, relate, understand them, then reason. Then go and figure out what you got to do. How many of you have tried to regulate with somebody while they're angry? Reason with somebody while they're angry. How did that work for you? Right? No, this is what we should do. They can't experience it. So what you have to do is, if you really want to make a difference, if you really want to fix what is happening, you're missing the first step. Right? If I called your phone number and I missed out the first number, I'm going to get a very different communication. I'm going to get something very different. Where the first step is actually creating safety and presence and regulation. Then you got the phone number right, and then eventually you can communicate, and then you could resolve it. But you got, as Dr. Bruce Perry says, regulate, relate, and then you reason. If you go out of that order, it's not going to work.
Yeah, so you spurred a thought, something that I actually share in my containers. And because I want to go back to the word containment, because I want to clarify that containment doesn't mean control, or that she is submissive to you in some way. And I relate it to, I'm a country girl, so I love to relate this to animals, which is wild Mustangs. And so if you, and I love herd dynamics, pack dynamics, if you look at them. So herd dynamics, if you look at wild Mustangs in the wild, there's one Mustang to many mares. And if you see the phrases, you'll see people say, well, it's that Mustang and his mares. And I was really curious about this. I'm like, well, why do they say his mares? And I did my research on it. And so just know that a wild Mustang, the female, the mare, will not mate with a Mustang that is unhealthy or unsteady or isn't a stable leader in some way. The Mustang provides the safety and the leadership within their herd. But this is the caveat, is the mare actually naturally is programmed to sense which Mustang is going to be the best to help her produce the offspring that will survive. She naturally senses that. And the other cool thing too, though, is that the Mustang doesn't control her. He contains the herd, but she chooses who to follow. Who does she feel safe with? That's the Mustang that she follows. He doesn't control and keep her there. He doesn't force her to stay. She can leave at any time and follow any other Mustang that she wants. So.
Yeah, I love that. And so here's the invitation. Men, imagine when her tears become sacred. Imagine when her storms inspire you to greater strength. That's an invitation for you to step in. And I'm going to read this because I love the way it says it. Her devotion rising every time she feels you won't abandon her when it matters the most. Because anyone could do it when it's easy. But if someone has entrusted you with their love, then make sure that trust is sacred, even if they're in that space. And together, granted, you want to listen to, both of you want to do the work, but I'm going to speak to the men. Grounded, sacred, healthy masculinity can create containers of safety that heal so deeply that it changes generations. And so know the power you have. I don't care what patterns you have in your past. I don't care if you're scared of emotions. But I want you to know right now that you could make a decision to step into real king, leadership, love, power under control, presence, and not only help love and elevate the life of the person that trusted you, but maybe there's kids watching, or maybe there's generations, or maybe there's leadership that you get to play a role in the world. It's about being a king. So step into your king. Hold that space, hold that safety, because a man that cannot handle feminine emotion probably won't get her feminine devotion, because she's going to be too busy trying to take care of herself.
Amen.
So this is such a big deal, man.
It is. I mean, masculine leadership is,
And-
I wish all men understood the power of like true embodied masculine energy in that way. Like what it does for women. I can't even describe the feeling. Like when we talk about feminine devotion, there are so many women who want a man to be devoted to in that way, to give all of herself, like mind, body, spirit, to this man. And when she is fully seen and she feels cherished in that way, like you will experience a love that you didn't think was possible.
And for men that are having a hard time with this, that have had a rough conditioning that made you feel not safe enough to speak up, it makes your nervous system really, really, scared, or you feel resistance to leading and to loving and to being present. And you're like, man, I keep going in my head. I keep messing up at this. I promise you, there is such a liberation that's available to you. Coming from somebody that my nickname literally was passive. I was so scared to say what I felt. I was the biggest people pleaser. I was not masculine. I looked masculine on the outside, but I was not. I wasn't living in my true identity. And I think if you're listening to this point, you know there's this powerful freedom in this man that you know you're meant to be. And I promise you, he's there. We just got to get rid of all the layers that are not true, all the belief systems and stories and conditioning, and start embodying the man and the king that you really are. And I promise you there's a way. And when you do, the life and the love and the freedom you will experience will be one of the greatest blessings you'll ever have, because this won't only impact your relationship. It's an impact the leadership you put on in the world, the impact you give in the world, the income you're able to bring into the world, because you won't be running a fear-based program. You're going to step into love and power and presence, and that kind of program, that's the kind of program that changes the world. And you don't just do this for you, even though it's really incredible. Like, I love growth, but you do it for the people that you love and for the generation. So if you're running a pattern, it's okay. Give yourself grace, but also make a real decision to change it today. And follow along on this journey. We're going to deep dive into this. There's a lot of really cool. So Terrin and I are deeply studied in everything from nerdy neuroscience to trauma to polarity to masculine feminine dynamics. And so just join the journey, man. Just jump on this journey day by day. And one day you'll look back and say, just like I do, and I'm still growing, right? Truly, I'm still growing. But I look back and I'm like, man, I was working really hard. Like, not poor Henry, but dude, man, I was people pleasing so hard because I wanted love and connection. And I thought that's the only thing I knew. But now to be able to have like this dynamic in our relationship, I contribute it primarily to me understanding the inner freedom within myself, the love and the strength in the way that I can carry a strong queen in my life. I really believe that had I met her 3 months before I was ready, I would have ruined it because I wasn't ready to hold that space for someone so beautiful and brilliant. And so if you're in a relationship now, start looking at the other person with so much love, and start looking at yourself with so much love, and know who you are, because it's time today. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. And thank you for listening. Any final words?
That was beautiful. That was perfect.
Well, thank you. And share this with anybody you know. And men, let's freaking step up. Let's do this thing. And until next time, see ya.